You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the Black and Gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
Good afternoon, Steelers Nation. It's The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Wes Uhler and Matt Williamson with you here for the next 2 hours on a Wednesday, as we have got plenty to get into here today. And Matt, right off the top, full disclosure, okay? Now, I know, real quick.
Yeah.
When we do this, when we pause for like 30 seconds to talk about personal life or whatever,
Yeah.
I think 90% of people enjoy it.
Right.
10% of people go, we don't care, just talk about the football team.
Talk about the Steelers. Right.
But I think when you listen to a show like this, like you mentioned all the time, 30 segments a week.
30 segments a week, 2 hours a day. Right.
I like to think that the majority of the people listening don't just look at you and I as robots, and they kind of enjoy us and our personality and some of our quirks, if you're rocking and rolling with us that much in a week.
I'm sure you've gotten this, but I've gotten it a ton, and I take it as the biggest compliment ever, is like, I live in Arizona, and I listen to you guys, and it feels like you and you and Dale sitting at Sharky's having a beer, and I'm like, that's exactly what we talk about at Sharky's, having a beer. Like, it feels like we're sitting there with you guys. I'm like, great. And maybe once in a while we go off topic and be like, my kid did this, and my kid took a half-court shot at Kentucky, or, right. Like, that's kind of cool, right.
Exactly right. And we've had some of those moments, you're right, at Sharky's and places like that where people will see us and they'll chat with us for a minute and they'll be like, this is hilarious. It's just like listening to you guys on the show.
Right. That's the plan, right.
And so if you want robots, I don't know, watch the evening news where they only talk for 2 minutes at a time and everything is straight business. 30 seconds of peeling back the curtain for you here to get started. I am not very prepared for this show today. I've got a sick child at home and a sick child who kept me up like crazy last night, and I only got about 2 hours of sleep. So I didn't do this morning's been a little chaotic,
Sure.
Had to take care of her and get my mom over to the house. Shout out to Grandma as always,
work,
right?
Grandma.
Where would we all be without Grandma? Because of that, I didn't have the usual time that I do to pour into Best of the West and around campus and all those different things. So we're going to audible it a little bit today.
Definitely works.
That's why I'm...
We did a lot of audibling before you showed up.
That's why I'm...
They call a lot of plays at the line of scrimmage.
Call a lot of plays at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
A lot of, what key are we in here? B minor? All right, hit it.
Let's go.
Here comes the freeform jazz. Instead of our traditional around campus, and we haven't done this yet, so I think it's okay, I wanted to look with you a little bit. Field Yates actually just dropped a mock draft. And
Field's a good dude. Him and I... He was just starting at ESPN when I was leaving ESPN.
Yes.
So I interacted with him quite a bit, see him at Combine every year. He'll probably sit down with us one of these Combines, too. So
Absolutely.
Good dude,
Absolutely. And he's one of the guys who, there's a couple of these mock drafters that we tend to pay attention to. He's one of them. And I like how this starts. I want to talk about the quarterback conversation, how it relates to the Steelers, all that stuff.
There's a lot of teams that I just think their paths are becoming clearer of how they're going to attack the offseason and things like that too. So.
And I think during the bye week, way back in early October, when we had some more time, you and I did some of that. Like, okay, who needs a quarterback? Who doesn't?
Yeah, it's changed.
But as you mentioned, it's changed,
right,
and it's become.
I don't think Carolina does. I don't know if the Dolphins at Carolina were two. I was on the fence. I think it's going to be Tua and Young next year.
Yeah,
at least for one more year.
Yes,
right.
And maybe the Saints and the Browns, teams like that, could
at
be
least
potentially
consider,
but
depending
then,
where the draft order falls. And
totally,
do I love Mendoza or that kind of thing.
And then maybe some teams that we had talked about, like Minnesota, like Arizona, who might be going back into the quarterback market. So that picture is getting a little bit clearer. The draft order is getting a little bit clearer here as well. And so let's jump into this mock.
And also
Field.
like the around campus stuff you put together, which is great. There was only really 2 games of note, or a couple games of notes that have changed since last week.
I mean, we could talk about Mendoza and Sayin and Ty Simpson, but it's not like that whole.
And I definitely, maybe even next week, want to really pick your brain about the playoffs and matchups and all that stuff too.
Absolutely,
I don't want to ignore college football at all.
Totally, and those start next weekend.
Yeah, we got Army Navy this weekend.
That's right.
So there's nothing like to watch for quarterbacks or anything like that too.
Well, hold on. You mean one of these triple option guys isn't going to lead the New York Jets to the promised land?
I'm pretty sure in this first round mock, Field probably doesn't have any midshipmen in there either.
Much like Alejandro Villanueva once said, the easiest part of his day was football practice when he was
I know, it's super cool.
when he was at Army.
I had my uncle over this weekend. He's going to the game. Couldn't be more excited. Like I would love to. I would love to do that. Yeah,
bucket list stuff. We do need to do that one of these years. Maybe we can get a Drive sponsored trip. We'll do a show. We'll do some content.
Not that far, right.
Pursuit has been a couple times. He could show us the ropes
really?
and give us the.
I bet it's amazing.
Give us the. Yeah, I would love to do that. That's one of those, like, I don't really care what it costs.
Just get there once.
Just get there once and figure out the rest afterwards. Matt, I like this mock draft from Field Yates because I think like 2 weeks ago we did kind of a mini mock draft conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It was from someone on NFL.com. Or it might have been from Dane Brugler, actually.
I think it was Dane.
Now that I'm remembering. And he had the Browns trading up to number 1.
Okay.
He had the Browns trading up to number 1 to draft Fernando Mendoza. He had them packaging their 2 first-round picks, their own and the Jags, to move up to number 1 when at the time it was the Titans sitting in that chair.
Okay.
Titans don't need a quarterback. They're riding with Cam Ward.
Mm-hmm.
Why not trade down a few spots, pick up an extra first-round pick? Made a ton of sense. Well, in this regard, Field Yates has the Giants finishing with the first overall pick.
Which is how real quick, I think a lot of the people know this, but Field didn't pick the order.
Right.
Like if the Steelers lost, they would not be from 20 or later. If they won, they're going to be 20 or later because they're currently a playoff team.
Last week in these mocks, the Steelers were picking 14.
Yeah, right now they're not.
Now they're picking 20.
Yeah. So the Giants sitting home are now in the driver's seat with the first overall pick. So
exactly
if they lose out, they're going to have the first overall pick.
Exactly right. And so with that, the Giants' first overall pick, much like this exercise a couple weeks ago, a team that believes they have their quarterback of the future.
Yeah. I have mixed feelings about Dart, but you're definitely rolling with him this year.
We both have mixed feelings about Dart, but you're right. The next head coach that they hire, that's going to be question number 1 in the interview. Yeah. How are you going to maximize Jackson Dart?
Yeah, we're moving away from Dart. Yeah,
exactly.
That's not happening.
If Matt Williamson walks into the offices in East Rutherford to interview for the job and is like, I don't like Dart, they're going to be like, well, thanks for your time. Yeah. We'll see you later.
You wasted a plane for it.
That's right. Much like Aaron Rodgers, we brought you across the country for nothing, although that was the Jets, not the Giants. Field has the MetLife swap, shall we call it.
Okay.
He has the Jets trading up to the Giants a few spots. Let's see here, from 7 to 1. The Jets trading up with the Giants to draft Fernando Mendoza, quarterback and Big Ten champion out of Indiana.
Yeah, I assume you watched that game. I mean, you were in Baltimore.
Oh,
right?
I sure did.
What'd you think of him?
I thought he doesn't blow me away.
He doesn't blow me away either.
But
I'm talking about his first overall picks go.
As first overall picks, he does not blow me away. But there's also this weird, like I think his worst case scenario is Kirk Cousins.
Yes. And there's something to be said for that.
And there's something to be said for that.
Yeah. Because this draft doesn't look loaded at the top. It's not like Giants trade away from Myles Garrett.
Exactly right. That's another great point by you. And even someone like Cam Ward last year, who I really liked and I think has a very high ceiling, I think Mendoza has a higher floor. I think worst case scenario, Mendoza is a good NFL starter for 10 to 12 years.
Me too.
He's Kirk Cousins for 10 to 12 years. He'll win you some division titles. He'll win you some playoff games. Super Bowl, who knows? If you get him in the right situation, sure. He's not going to completely elevate your organization, but it's not going to be a swing and a miss with a first-round pick completely at the same time.
Not. I see him the exact same way. It's funny because we haven't had this conversation. Like, if everything hits, maybe he's Matt Ryan.
Yes.
Matt Ryan won an MVP with Julio Jones
and probably should have won a Super Bowl.
Was pretty darn close to winning a Super Bowl.
Without some coaching malpractice where, for whatever reason, they ran the ball 3 times with a 28-3 lead.
They're not going to win 4 out of 6 Super Bowls, but he might get you there when all the planets align properly.
Absolutely.
And that's a good football player. And frankly, if like Trevor Lawrence or Kyler Murray, I'm thinking about first overall picks, had that career, that's a success, folks.
It's better than what they've been.
It doesn't have to be Elway.
Even someone like Baker Mayfield, who's been very up and down as the first pick.
Yeah. I mean, frankly, if they have a Cousins career, you'd probably go fish. But if you have a Ryan career, you definitely take it. Especially if you're a team, I know they're not in this instance, but like the Jets or the
Jets
Browns.
might want a high floor.
Right. I mean,
hey, you give us Matt Ryan or Kirk Cousins for the next 12 years and we'll take it.
Right. Same with the Browns have gone through them left and right.
Imagine if you could put Mendoza with the Niners right now.
Right.
A situation
that's worth the first overall pick.
A situation like that, and if the Jets could build to something like that with all the capital,
looks like they have a line, and right.
They do, I think, have started building the nest. So, yeah, I think he's accurate. I think he's got some power in his arm.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the season, his pocket presence, his pocket awareness has much improved. Like the first couple weeks of the season, there were some times where he got the happy feet a little bit.
Yeah.
And especially last year at Cal, if you go back, I've seen so many people like Pitt fans, and I don't mean this as an insult as much as I
prefer it was.
As much as I'd prefer it was. Yes, exactly. A lot of people who just watch their college football team.
Yeah.
Like that Mendoza guy who we beat when he was at Cal last year, he's going to be the first overall pick.
My favorite instance of this
Much
last
different
year.
player.
All the Penn State fans were like, Genty, who would take him high?
Yeah, exactly.
They put like 11 guys in the box and stopped Genty, and he still had like 110 yards or something like that. That guy's going to be a first-round pick.
That guy's going to be a top 10 pick.
One game, and everyone around him was totally overmatched against the
That Mendoza guy who couldn't lead Cal on a scoring drive to beat Pitt, he's much better 12 months later.
Watch every snap.
Watch every snap. Watch him this year at Indiana. I think he's gotten better throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I really liked how that very first play of the game, he took a massive shot.
Oh, I like his toughness and
Missed
all that kind of stuff.
Missed one play and was right back in there.
Yeah.
And
I like the way he throws the ball. I don't love it. I mean, but we're talking about first overall picks here, you know.
Yes, I like the way he throws the ball. I don't love it. I like how he's continued to improve with his pocket presence and his pocket awareness. I think the arrow's pointed up for him.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's here. Field Yates has Mendoza going first overall to the Jets.
We're not going to spend this much time on every pick, but
Yes.
I just because he is recent, we just saw a game of him, and he's the first overall pick, which I think he's favored to be at this point.
He's the big topic at this point, too.
I will say, again, subject to change because, as everyone knows, these aren't my final answers with draft. I'm in the NFL and pro stuff, obviously, now more than anything. I don't think most years he comes out, he'd be the first overall pick. And even like a Cam Ward last year, I'd rather roll the dice on Ward.
Yeah.
You know,
I get what you're
Ward
saying.
went bust.
I was going to ask you, like, Mendoza or Ward.
And this is going to be very Steeler related. Like, if and when the Steelers are ready for that first-round quarterback, would you rather go the Ward high ceiling, low floor route?
Sure.
Or the Mendoza route? Especially for the Steelers, I'm going the Ward route.
And I imagine Caleb Williams over Mendoza, Jaden Daniels over Mendoza,
and
Drake May over Mendoza.
And that's not, it's pretending I've never even watched them in the NFL. What I thought of them at the time.
But, like, what about Michael Penix and J.J. McCarthy?
No.
Okay.
No. Right.
Okay, I'm with you on that then.
Yeah.
Number 2, the Raiders.
Okay.
Dante Moore. That would make, I think, a lot of sense.
Absolutely. My worry with the Raiders is if they go quarterback, the nest stinks.
It does.
I mean,
and that's
you
funny to say when you
them.
have Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty.
That part's good.
But the nest still kind of, the offensive line might be the worst in the NFL.
Their roster's really bad. The defense isn't going to help you at all. We'll get to the Browns here in a minute too, but like their offensive nest, I was doing some homework on it just overnight. They might need 9 starters on offense.
Oh, yeah.
Which might mean let's just roll Shador back for a year and draft linemen, you know? But we'll get to them.
Wait, Shador, Raiders.
I was talking about the Browns.
The Browns. Okay, sorry. Yeah,
I got ahead of myself.
Okay, sorry.
The defense is great, but they might need 9 offensive starters next year.
I get what you're saying. Absolutely.
And the Raiders are
they probably feel good about Quinshon Junkins and,
and Fannin, and that's about it.
Yeah. Raiders similar, that'd be an interesting one. Like, could they punt on a quarterback? We're just going to take the best player available here at pick 2, or we're going to trade down and get a bunch of assets.
See, that's the best move is the team that the Steelers type. I mean, let's say the Steelers are at 12. And, okay, we'll give you a lot to get to 2 and take more, and he'll sit behind Rodgers for a year. That makes a lot of sense for both teams to me.
If Geno Smith were playing average football.
Even then that'd be nice.
Then you'd be like, okay, we'll draft Dante Moore, and eventually in week 9 he takes over for Geno Smith.
Mm-hmm. That's not bad.
That's the only question if you're the Raiders and you don't go the quarterback route is like, we're not running it back with Geno. Kenny Pickett's not a solution. He's a backup guy. So, I don't know, maybe you go and get a Kyler Murray or something like that doesn't, move the needle that much. But interesting offseason for the Raiders.
And I would totally understand Jets Raiders going quarterback.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you need them.
And again, there's not a Joe Alt or a Chase or a Garrett, a non-quarterback that's like
at a premium position.
Yeah, Smith, the receiver from Ohio State. Like if he was in this draft,
first overall.
If you're the Giants, you're like, I'm not trading out.
I'm not trading out. I'm taking Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah.
3, the Titans take Arvell Reese, who might be the best player in this draft.
Yeah.
I think for them at pick 3, that would make a ton of sense.
Love it for them.
He could do Micah Parsons type things for your defense.
You have D tackles already now.
I was going to say he'd be a very good pairing with Jeffrey Simmons.
Exactly.
I feel like
sweating those guys too. That's a nice start.
Maybe his rookie year you move him around,
and
then he eventually settles as an edge once he gets a little bit more of that NFL body. But he could be the best player in this draft.
Yeah.
If you get him at pick 3, I think that's really smart.
Maybe you go wide receiver and force the offensive line with the next round.
Sure. Browns at 4. They take Carnell Tate, the wide receiver from Ohio State.
Wow.
Who I think is very good.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you think of him? I mean,
he doesn't
blow me away as the clear wide receiver 1.
But this is a similar conversation to last year.
Yeah.
I'm going to probably really like the top 2 or 3 picks.
Mm-hmm.
And then pick 4 to 7, 8, 9 might underwhelm me.
Last year was very heavy that way.
Where it was like Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, what's his face from Penn State? Abdul Carter.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was like I like the middle class after those guys, but I don't really like that second wave of what's supposed to be elite, where you get the Joe Alts a lot of times, where you get the shutdown corners a lot of times.
Mason Graham that went to the Browns.
Exactly right.
Should be the 12th pick in the draft, and you're taking
exactly
him at 4.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just because there's no one else to take. Like, I could see this draft leaning like that a lot.
That's where I'm at. So I don't.
And there's not even a clear number. From what I've seen, wide receiver 1 isn't locked up for Tate either. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad player.
I prefer Jordan Tyson. I think they're both first-round picks. Like, without a doubt, they're both top 15 picks. Good players.
Like, as of like a month ago, I looked at Tate as like, maybe that's a Steelers first-rounder. In the teens.
He was getting mocked there.
Yeah, like in the teens.
And he was very good down the stretch for Ohio State. I give him the Emeka Egbuka benefit of the doubt, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because last year at this time, a lot of people were saying, yeah, Emeka Egbuka's good, but
not a real high ceiling.
He's not a real high ceiling. He's playing off of Jeremiah Smith, And I think maybe there's some, but I still think Carnell Tate is like I said, first round lock, top 15 pick.
Sure.
4 just might be a little rich for my blood.
He seems like a T. Higgins, not a Chase.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Which is, again, if that's all you got to pick from in this draft, that's what you're taking. Right.
Fine.
Yeah.
But that would be back-to-back years of a top 5 pick for the Browns that would kind of underwhelm me.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, good players.
You're just taking
I'm
what's
not saying
available.
that these guys stink or going to bust.
Right.
I just don't think there's any chance they're going to wear gold jackets one day either, which is what you want for that drafting area. Saints at 5, Francis Moyaga. I believe that's how he pronounces his last name. The very, very good tackle from Miami.
Okay.
I prefer Fanu from Utah, who he has going 8th to Arizona, but I think those are the clear best 2 offensive tackles in the league. So you get him and you run it back with Shuck for another year.
Yeah, and so I haven't looked at this at all, but I imagine he took the Miami kid instead of the Utah dude because they've gone back-to-back tackles in the last 2 years in New Orleans. So I know some are looking at him as like a big-time guard.
Big-time right.
He's a wide, road grader type.
Sure.
So I assume that's why he didn't take a pure tackle or someone that could at least bump in.
Yeah, and he's talks actually about how they could bump in Fuaga from right tackle to right guard next season. So
I think there's a real good chance Shuck is the opening day starter there.
I
kind of leaning that way right
I think
now.
if it continues down the line here, that's going to be the case.
Especially if they're not picking in the top 5-ish,
Number 6, Washington Commanders, a guy that I just saw with my own 2 eyes about 10 days ago, Matt Williamson, who really looked the part. David Bailey, edge rusher from Texas Tech.
I really hope they go defense. I mean, the offense to me is pretty darn set.
It is, but their defense is so old. Like
it's
Von Miller and Bobby Wagner. And,
I mean, it's old and it's bad, and they have to really enforce that defense.
He's got 13.5 sacks. David Bailey, he's just been a friggin' wrecking ball. I really like him.
Huge, right?
He's not
more of like a 3-4 outside linebacker.
He's more of a 3. Like his ceiling is like a TJ Watt type.
Yeah.
You know, but he has that same knack for not necessarily the physical intimidation of a Bosa or a Myles Garrett, right? Like the stout hand in the ground on the edge. But the dude just makes plays. He knows how to get after quarterbacks. He knows how to force fumbles. 8 of them. Like he just.
I've heard a lot of Benito comparisons.
That's
really
a good
gets
one.
off the ball.
That's a good one.
Right. Yeah.
Could do a lot of different things for you, and man, he started his career at Stanford and really took. I mean, had like 4 sacks as a true freshman at Stanford, and then transferred
Probably
to Texas
smart.
Tech. And yeah, probably smart if he's going to school there.
Right.
I like that pick for the Commanders.
Yeah, me too. I would just take best defense available.
And he could be the best. He could be the best defensive player in this draft. I think it's Arvell Reese, but it wouldn't surprise me if 5 years from now it's David Bailey.
Downs is the other one, but he's a safety, and what are you paying for a safety? You know,
right? I really like Caleb Downs. You're right, and he goes in the top 10 here. But that's also, do you want to take a safety at 6th overall?
That solves all your problems if you're the Commanders.
Let's do a couple more here, then we'll take a break. Pick this up on the other side.
Yeah, I like it.
Giants at 7. Matt, of course, because of that trade with the Jets, they take Jordan Tyson, the Arizona State wide receiver.
Okay. Pair him with Neighbors. I mean, you're setting things up for Dart then.
I think that would be a good move by the Giants. They've got some nice pieces on defense. I don't think the offensive line is a disaster.
No, I don't think it's horrendous.
If you can give Jackson Dart now what could end up being 2 number 1 wide receivers.
Right. You're really setting him up.
Really setting him up for success.
Then like the Wan'Dale Robinsons and Slaytons are your 3s, and like,
you're in a good spot.
Right,
you're in a very good spot. And I think Jordan Tyson might be the best playmaker in this draft. He's been banged up the last couple weeks, which has caused him to fall down these draft boards, but his tape is impressive. He's got some Tet McMillan traits about him. Number 8, the Arizona Cardinals, they take Spencer Fanu, the tackle from Utah.
That'd be good.
Who I think is the best tackle in this draft.
I'm a big Paris Johnson fan, but that's only one that you need someone on the other side.
You need someone on the other side.
Nice young bookends would go a long way.
I think this dude is nasty. This dude is violent. He's that Utah Samoan. You know what I mean? Those Utah guys in the trenches that they pump out every couple years that are just brick houses in there. Caleb Downs goes 9th to the Rams. That's the Rams pick.
That's a nice luxury item for a strong
Falcons,
team.
Thanks.
Right.
Thanks for Caleb Downs here.
Maybe the best defensive player in the draft.
They could really do some.
They already have the infrastructure
Brian Branch
in place.
type stuff with him. Some like when Jamal Adams was at his prime stuff with him. I think that would be, for a team that's really stinking good already, that would be a heck of a steal.
They can afford it.
And then another guy who I think could end up being the best defensive player in this draft is Reuben Bain Jr., the edge rusher from Miami. He goes 10th to the Bengals.
Henderson's not going to be back. Well, they might franchise him, but who the heck knows?
And, I mean, that would be to go from taking Shamar Stewart, 12th overall last year, to going back to an edge rusher at 10th. I don't know if that's the best use of resources.
Right. Miles Murphy 2 years ago, too. I mean, they just keep going back well.
But I also think he's the clear-cut best player on the board here at 10, and that would be a good pick. He's a guy who could go 5, and you get him at 10.
I mean, how could you really criticize the Bengals for just taking best defensive player available no matter what it is?
Yes.
What position it is.
Yes.
Right.
I'm with you on that. So let's continue this exercise on the other side. Specifically, any more quarterbacks? Where do the Steelers go? We'll get to that when we return. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It's The Drive on the Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Back on The Drive here as we continue to do some around campus, some NFL draft talk. We've repurposed around campus for the first 2 segments of the show here today. We're going to talk to our buddy Chris Halicke in about 10-15 minutes. But before we do that, Matt, I want to continue this and see where some of these quarterbacks fall and what happens with the Steelers.
Maybe,
we'll go faster in this one. And that's always the case. The top 10 picks, there's always more meat on the bone there to chew on. Vikings at 11. And they select Mansour Delaney, who I think has the coolest name in this.
That's a great one.
I mean, he sounds like he should be like a noble lord from the UK in the 1700s or something. Mansour Delaney. But the corner out of LSU, man, he's versatile. He started at Virginia Tech for most of his career, transferred this past season to LSU. He's got size. He's... I'm trying to think of a good example, but he's so violent. He's so disruptive in combat catches.
Yeah.
He's
not bashful at all.
He's not bashful. He, to me, has the full gambit of the skill set that you want from a number 1 corner. He's got the size. He's got the physicality. He's got the frame. He's got the athleticism. First corner off the board at pick 11, I think, is a very worthy pick for him there.
From what I gather, there's not a Ramsey or a Peterson coming out that's a Sauce or Stingley that's a top 5 pick all day long.
Christian Gonzalez type, although he might have been drafted in this same 10-11 range. But yes.
But I think that there is still some battling to do, like the receiver position of who's going to be corner 1.
Agreed.
And there's a chance the Steelers could go corner in round 1.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, how all these things fall, and we'll do plenty of those exercises
tons,
when we get to the, pick one if you're the Steelers, who are you taking? And then at pick two, who are you taking? 12 is the Miami Dolphins. Oh my goodness. I mean, they were at one point they were picking 2. Now they're back into 12. They take Keldrick Falk, the edge rusher from Auburn.
Their edge guys aren't bad though. They took Chop recently, and
they still have Bradley Chubb. They did trade Jalen Phillips to the Eagles.
But they're another one, maybe best defensive player available wouldn't be a terrible idea. Chubb is kind of expensive and old. He could not be back.
He's getting to that point too, where he.
We'll talk about him in the next couple of days, but their edge guys aren't bad.
No, they're not, and that's even with sending Jalen Phillips to the other side of the Commonwealth here. 13, the Baltimore Ravens, Peter Woods, defensive tackle from Clemson. Travis Jones is going to be a free agent. Matabuke has that neck injury.
He may never be the same.
And
their D tackles are not great at the moment. I think that's a real good chance they go D tackle in round 1.
I think so too. He would be the first one off the board. And we're
talking about him maybe being the first overall pick before the season started. I don't think he's been disappointing, but he hasn't taken it up to a level or anything.
And he's one of those almost, let's do the Casey Hampton example. He's not huge. He's listed at 6'2". I think it might be more like
he's a little stumpier.
He might be 6'1.5". He's got 32-inch arms, 31.5-inch arms.
Yeah.
But he is that guy that if you can put him in the middle of your defense, he can A-gap and just hold and let Roquan Smith and everybody else do their job.
And they've always had those type of dudes.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Matabuke it's not a 1-for-1 Matabuke comp, but it is. They need a force in the middle. Bad.
He could be one of those a little undersized, but just, wrecking ball types in the middle of a defensive line that's impossible to move. 14, I would hate, capital H-A-T-E, hate this. But Field has the Kansas City Chiefs drafting Jeremiah Love, the running back out of Notre Dame.
If I were them.
He's another one he's on that short list of Arvell Reese, of the guys that I think could be the best player in this draft.
I'd take Love, or I'd take Shadiq, the tight end out of Oregon.
That would be such a steal for them. They did take Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the last pick of the first round in 2020. But they have
a couple picks ahead of Jonathan Taylor.
Picks ahead.
I used to make a joke all the time. I bet Andy Reid goes out to practice every day and goes, "I wish you were Jonathan Taylor."
Could you imagine if you were Jonathan Taylor?
Right.
So the Heisman Trophy finalist goes 14th overall to KC. Another Buckeye off the board at 15. The Dallas Cowboys select Sonny Styles, off-ball linebacker from Ohio State, which. Hey, taking an off-ball linebacker at 15, that dude better end up being pretty stinking good. But also, if you're looking at Dallas's defense, that might be the one kind of, final puzzle piece to complement that side of the ball.
Yeah, and assuming they get something done with Pickens, either franchise or whatever, all those picks that they've accumulated, I think they're all going to defense. And Dallas could be in a really good spot next year.
They really could, which sounds crazy.
Right. They got a lot of picks.
They could have a dangerous offense and a legit defense. Number 16, the Carolina Panthers take C.J. Allen, back-to-back off-ball linebackers. Allen from Georgia. There
does look like there could be a couple of first-round off-the-ball guys, which is kind of rare.
He's part of that kind of those Georgia off-ball linebackers. There's a nice lineage there of the Nakobe Deans and the Roquan Smiths, and he's a missile back there. He is.
He's going to be an athlete.
He's what you want from an off-ball linebacker. Again, is 16 a little too rich for that in the modern NFL? That's a different conversation. But I think there's a high floor with a guy like C.J. Allen.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's the next Kuechly, but they haven't really had an identifiable, leader of the defense type guy in Carolina.
Matt, I told you about how I saw David Bailey, the edge rusher from Texas Tech, a couple weeks ago. I missed Fanu from Utah when they came to Morgantown because you and I were in Dublin.
Yes.
I think that's the only time in my life that I was all right with missing a WVU football home game, to be frolicking around with my buddies in Dublin. The Lions at pick 17 go to the other outstanding tackle on that Utah football team, Caleb Lomu. Goes 17th. He's the right tackle for Utah there. So I don't know what they would do.
I'm sure they wouldn't move Stoll back
I don't think
to the
they
left.
would move.
He's staying there, and he's going to go to the Hall of Fame as right tackle. Decker's up in age.
He is 31 years old, Decker. So not 35, but up in age.
But he could be a guard for a year or something like that too until Decker moves on, because their interior is not what it used to be after the Ragnow.
According to Pro Football Focus, Lomu did not allow a single sack this season and only gave up 6 pressures in 12 games. Wow. That Utah had the number. I mean, they ran for like 200 some yards a game.
Yeah,
I think number 1 or number 2 rushing attack in all of Power 4 football. 2 first-round tackles will do that for you.
That's a Lions type of move, though. I mean, like, we're not going to ever get weak on the O-line.
Exactly right. Another corner goes off the board, 18th to the Giants. Avion Terrell out of Clemson. Very good player. He's another one who could easily end up being the first corner off of the board. He is the younger brother of Falcons cornerback A.J. Terrell. This is his younger brother.
So the Giants would have got a receiver in a corner. Both would be areas of need.
Not too bad.
I don't mind that at all on a trade down.
He's a little smaller, but he is so quick, and he has that kind of like just knack for closing speed, right time, reads the game well. They also use him in the slot a little bit at Clemson. He had 3 sacks and 5 forced fumbles this season.
Yeah, I think he'll mix it up.
I think he'd be a good player for that defense. 19, Tampa Bay takes Kenyon Sadiq. We talked about him a little bit a week or 2 ago when we talked about Dante Moore.
Yeah.
He's the tight end from Oregon. I think he's great. I think there's some Tyler Warren, Colson Loveland type ceiling there. Man, you put that type of weapon in that Tampa Bay offense, that would be
Nabuka last year and then him this year, and just in terms of pass catcher.
And
weapons,
Evans is getting a little bit older. Godwin's getting a little bit older. You replenish that room.
They're a big best player available type team too, which he probably is at this point.
And it's worked out well for them so
They've
far.
drafted well.
At number 20, your Pittsburgh Steelers. I've seen this mocked a lot lately, and I definitely think it could happen, and I wouldn't be against it. Malachi Lemon, wide receiver from USC.
Oh, I think he'd fit in a big way here. I mean, I get some St. Brown type vibes from him too. Thicker slot, but also outside, physical, aggressive type dude. A lot different than DK. I have no qualms with that at all.
I've seen this since August and September. And my only worry is, if you ask me right now, Malachi Lemon, is he going to go before pick 20 or after pick 20? I would guess before.
Yeah.
I think he's only going to be one of those guys that his stock is going to continue to rise.
I could see that.
But if that's the pick at pick 20 for the Steelers, I would not be against it.
No.
I think
he'd be nice to solve the number 2.
He'd be a very nice piece next. And he's a different type of body type. He's a little under 6 foot. 195 pounds, has some speed to burn, and you can line him up anywhere, as you mentioned, which I think would fit very nicely in this offense.
I imagine Fields isn't going to have a quarterback go 21-22, these next couple picks.
That's exactly what I was looking for, just to see before we get out of here and get to Chris Halicke. I don't see any other quarterbacks mocked in his first round.
Okay.
Ty Simpson, 31st overall to the Rams.
That'd be a great landing spot for Simpson.
That would be a great landing spot for him.
The lack of experience wouldn't hurt him. Sit for a year
behind Stafford. It's a worthy risk to take for the Rams when you already got Caleb Downs at pick 9.
Like, if you told me Rodgers was here, I would strongly consider Simpson at 20.
Yes.
But if it's Rudolph's going to start for a week or 2 and then throw right in, then
I'm even kind of close to this point with Dante Moore, who I really like.
Yeah.
Fernando Mendoza is the only quarterback in this class that I'm going to draft, and I'm going to start him right away. There'll be some growing pains there, but as we talked about, I think he at least has a high enough floor to do that, to operate
that part. Right.
Ty Simpson or Dante Moore, I think they're going to need some time.
Yeah,
there's a ton of upside there. They could both end up being better pros than Mendoza, but they could also both end up being Josh Rosen out of the league in a few years.
That's the direction I want to go for the Steelers, though. Is that type of
same,
player.
But I want to have you got to have the nest to land them in, and the Rams do with as long as Stafford ends up coming back.
Yeah,
the Rams win the Super Bowl this year. Stafford could,
maybe
pull a John Elway, pull a Jerome Bettis, and say this is it. I won the Super Bowl and I'm out of here. But plenty to chew on as we get closer and closer to the combine season, the playoff. All these things will have only more and more on the 2026 NFL Draft. But when we return, we got to talk to our buddy Chris Halicke about all the moving and shaking down on the South Side as we get ready for the Dolphins on Monday Night Football. We'll do that when we return here on The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Back on the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Joining us now, it's our buddy from DK Pittsburgh Sports, Chris Halicke, a regular here on this program. Chris, thank you for taking the time as always, partner. And before we get into some stuff from that win in Baltimore, looking ahead to the Dolphins a little bit, how you feeling about Derek Harmon? We've had so much conversation around his importance to this team, and particularly that run defense. I think that was on full display Sunday at M&T Bank Stadium. Are you optimistic or pessimistic for his status for Monday Night Football?
Definitely more optimistic than I was in the past couple of weeks because Mike Tomlin didn't roll him out. I mean, the fact that Tomlin left the door open for him to possibly return, they get an extra day of rest. Today actually is that day of rest. It's a victory Wednesday instead of a victory Monday, so they get the day off today before they start practicing tomorrow. I'm optimistic right now, but let's see at least what his participation looks like on Thursday and Friday, and then I'll probably get a better gauge because we don't know the nature of the knee injury. It's not the same knee injury he had in the preseason that kept him out for the first couple of games of the season. So don't want to kind of say, yes, he's definitely going to be back, or it's leaning that way right now, but he's definitely trending in the right direction. So you'd love to have him back against the Dolphins, having to go against A-Chain, but either way, you are closer to getting him back on the field, and yeah, they need him back. He's become a big part of them stopping the run.
Chris, I know you watch a lot of All 22 and really dig into some of the X's and O's of this stuff too, but the Steeler run defense the last couple weeks to me almost just comes down to defensive linemen going backwards. I mean, it almost doesn't matter what scheme they faced. It's just they're not winning one-on-one blocks. They're not getting off blocks. Other than Cam Hayward, I see a lot of defensive linemen going the wrong direction.
No, that's absolutely what I see more than anything. And there are a couple of narratives that fans have clung to this season, and the two players that consistently get under fire the most from fans are Patrick Queen and Joey Porter Jr.
Yeah.
And I think that's completely
a little misguided.
It's off base. Yeah. It's really hard to play linebacker when you consistently have offensive linemen in your lap. And
or your teammate in your lap, defensive lineman.
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely. Now, they definitely need to get better. I think that's one of the reasons why when Harmon has done such a good job. Is he like the prototypical space eater in the middle? No, but what Harmon does so well is, number one, he does get off blocks.
Yeah.
And his gap integrity is really, really good for being a rookie. First rounder or not, he holds up his gap very, very well. He doesn't get pushed around a whole bunch. Meanwhile, Y.A. Black will have some good reps, and then there's some times where he's pushed around. Keanu Benton, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
There's not as much consistency there. So,
Chris, real quick on Harmon, kind of like what you're saying, I think he has a really good knowledge of the game and blocking angles and how they're trying to attack him. As rookies go, I think above the neck, he's A+.
1,000%. That was one of the things that the Steelers loved about him coming out of Oregon. That not only does he have a lot of great tools and have like good length and it checks a lot of boxes in that way, but they really thought that he was a really smart football player at the same time, and was interested in things more than just what the defensive line is doing. He understands what his role within what all 11 guys are trying to do, and that shows up on film because, again, you seldom find him out of place. His gap integrity, his holding where he needs to be, he does a really good job of that. And so I don't think I asked Tomlin about that at his press conference on Tuesday, what does Harmon do so well? And he just said, well, he's a first rounder. We're like, yeah, that's a great answer, but you look at the film, you see why. He's just a really smart player. He understands where he needs to be, and it's not a coincidence that there's a 95-yard per game difference in what they give up on the ground whenever he's in the lineup versus when he's not in the lineup.
Yeah.
No, well said, and we have certainly seen that play out. On a more optimistic tone here, Chris, was this past Sunday in Baltimore, was that Aaron Rodgers' finest performance so far this season in the black and gold?
Absolutely. When you talk about, I mean, there have been opportunities to throw downfield in previous games, and we've seen him connect on some here and there, but it was like every single one of those passes downfield was right on the money. I mean, right on the money.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if it was the first one of the game where it was like 50 yards downfield, or if it was the one to Calvin Austin where it was literally catch the snap, plant and throw like immediately, and so it didn't go as far. Or the one where he scrambled out to his left and found Metcalf, who found the open grass, and then he flips his hips around, throws off platform, and it's just right on the money to Metcalf, who was running, parallel to the line of scrimmage. That play right there was probably the closest you're going to get to vintage Rodgers. No, it was definitely his. I thought, like, in Cincinnati was like the closest we've seen to like vintage Rodgers, and he definitely upped that in Baltimore for sure. Now, still wasn't perfect. Still wanted to see a little bit more, but man, if you can get that version of Rodgers every game the rest of the way, you actually have some firepower. You have the ability to have your quarterback put on the Superman cape every now and then to be able to make plays like that. No, I thought he had a great performance in Baltimore.
Totally agree. Now I want to shift to his receivers, though. I mean, there's been some change in that room for sure. What's your best educated guess on short-term wide receiver distribution and usage?
I think it's probably going to be pretty similar to what we saw in Baltimore. Metcalf is obviously your one.
Yeah.
And Adam Thielen came right in. Now, he didn't have the same type of impact that like Kyle Duggar did when he came in and hit the ground running and started. But Thielen was second on the team in terms of the receivers. He was second on the team in snaps. He comes in, he learns the offense enough to be able to play that many snaps right away. And now he's going to get a whole other week, starting from like literally the beginning of the week, and to get an extra day. I think Thielen is going to be the guy they're going to lean on the most, opposite of Metcalf.
Okay.
And then they're going to be
like
able
in
to
two receiver sets, you think he's most likely to be out there?
Correct.
Okay.
There can be times where it's MVS. If they want to really, if it's like a defense that likes to play single high like the Ravens do, you can put out Metcalf and MVS on the outside and say, all right, well, you only got one safety deep, and we got two guys who can go downfield. Good luck. But then again, you can also, if you play more teams that run too high, then you can go out there with two receiver sets of Metcalf and Thielen, or throw in, if Metcalf needs to snap off, you can go Thielen and Calvin, or Thielen and Scotty, or shoot, Ben Skoranek will be out there every now and then just because of the little things that he can do too. Mm-hmm. So, but I think Thielen steps in, has already stepped in to become your de facto WR2 that we've been talking about pretty much for 2 years now. So that's.
I think that's what you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris, last one I've got for you, buddy. And, I feel like now for the last couple weeks, I've felt like, sounding like a broken record here. But once again, the Steelers' run game leaving plenty to be desired this past week. Is it just as simple as a commitment to it? Is there more needed from the offensive line? I mean, how do they get some level of consistency in that run game? Because, hey, it's great that you got outrushed by 170 yards by Baltimore, 180 yards by Baltimore, and were able to win on the road despite that. But eventually that's going to catch up and bite you if you don't at least find some level footing there. I'm not saying they have to run for 150 yards every game, but it can't be 34 again and expect to get out of a stadium with a win.
And how about this real quick, guys? There's been 2 games this year in the NFL where a team has rushed for under 40 yards and won.
Steelers both?
They're both the Steelers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely got to improve. There's no doubt about it. And I don't think there's usually when the struggles are that obvious and they're that apparent, it's not just one thing. It's not like, hey, the running backs suck, or hey, the offensive line isn't creating any lanes. I think it's a combination of everything. I think the offensive line can improve with their run blocking. I think running backs could do a little bit better in terms of when they're running the wide zone stuff, in terms of reading it faster, putting a foot in the ground and going. You got to make a decision. You got to be decisive. You got to go. But then I also think that Arthur
Real quick,
Smith
Chris, I keep interrupting you, but I thought this past week was not the best day for the running backs.
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't. I
didn't think they played great.
No, I didn't think they did either, and that's why I'm saying it this way. Like, I think Arthur Smith can get a little bit more creative with his run concepts that he calls, because I think when all else fails, he's like, all right, let's run wide zone. It's like, okay, but everybody knows that's coming, you know. So try mixing it up a little bit. Try running some inside zones, some duos, something that's a little bit different. I think the problem, and this is like my issue with wide zone in today's NFL, is I think with the way the Steelers run and running through that type of concept as like your home base, is it's too hit or miss. When you hit on it, it's great. It's going to get you 8 yards or 12 yards or, you know, something. Because when Warren and Gainwell, we've seen when they make those cuts and they get upfield, when they run the wide zone stuff, it hits. But it's either 8 yards or no yards.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see some more run concept.
But we were letting him go anyways.
Wait, we still got you. Sorry, buddy. You just dropped there for a second.
Sorry about that, guys.
No sweat.
But I'm saying, like, maybe call some rush concepts that maybe don't get as many chunks, but get you 4 yards here and 3 yards there and 5 yards here. And
a leadoff walk wouldn't be so bad once in a while, you know?
Exactly my point. And
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. I think that's what some offenses have gone to. You know, I look at Sean McVay, what he's done with the Rams. He went away from all the wide zone stuff, went to more duo, and they've become a more well-oiled machine, along with what Matthew Stafford can obviously do in the passing game. And, yeah, I think when you look at that, maybe it requires a little bit of a change up there. I don't know. But I think it's a combination of everything. I don't think the running backs played very well in Baltimore. I don't think the offensive line has really been consistently good at run blocking. And I also don't think that Arthur Smith has always been, you know, one step ahead of the defense in terms of what type of runs he wants to run, so the defense kind of knows what's coming every now and then. So, yeah, I think it could get better, but it could get better across the board.
Good stuff as always with our buddy Chris Halicke. Chris, thank you for taking the time on the Wednesday, partner, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
There he goes, the great Chris Halicke. Always good perspective from him. Love chatting with that guy. And thanks to him for taking the time for us today. That's an hour in the books. Another hour to go on the other side. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, halfway home here on The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Good evening, Steeler Nation. How we doing? Well, that's good. Us too. Hour number 2 here on The Drive on a Wednesday, as things are a little different this week, but I guess kind of similar in the sense of our cadence and our rhythm, Matt, because we will not have a show on Monday, so it's still typical in that regard. But yes, we are getting ready for all things. Another massive week across the NFL, another massive
things are falling into place,
for the Steelers.
We talked about yesterday. You know?
Things certainly are falling into place. There's still a lot up in the air, but things are coming into focus. A little bit more week by week. And I was looking at this, and there's an article on NFL.com right now, Matt, that I thought was a pretty good way to kind of frame things. The top 5 playoff contenders in the NFL right now, most in need of a win this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Cool.
so does that makes sense how they're kind of doing that? And I don't think it's surprising, but number 1 is the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, wow. I wouldn't have come up with that because I've already written them off. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even think of them as a playoff contender anymore, which is really not fair because anyone can any given Sunday, blah, 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 blah,
And
blah.
it has been, as we've outlined many times, it's been such a week-to-week league this year.
No question. But they play Seattle.
In Seattle, too.
In Seattle.
Although that might actually be better than having Seattle come to your house. Because as we've seen, all Seattle does on the road is win.
I know you don't know this answer, but I wonder if Rivers plays. I mean, if Leonard can't, Leonard's got an injury.
If it'd either be him or Brett Ripon.
Right.
Right is the other option.
I think if
I think it would
Leonard
be Rivers.
Can't go.
Because I think you would at least, you point this out a lot, rightfully so, with Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, Flacco did. He got
and
traded 2 days before.
He wasn't on the
right?
sideline for 5 years like Rivers was, but there was a gap there too.
Rivers knows this offense.
Rivers knows this offense very well. Him and Shane Steichen have talked weekly all throughout the season because Rivers has been running this offense at the high school team that he coaches, I think, out in California. Is that right? Regardless,
I'm not certain. Right.
Whatever team that the high school team that Philip Rivers coached this year ran this same offense. Talked to Shane Steichen every week.
I guess they're like almost best friends, like Rivers.
I think they're very close, and similar to Joe Flacco. Similar to, as you've rightfully so pointed out so many times this season, I think there's a real comfortability there with, okay, this guy is not like he was when he was 34, now at 44, but he's going to minimize so much negative for us. He's going to have everybody lined up. He's going to know what the defense is doing. He's going to check out of the negative. He's going to help us avoid getting procedural penalties and that kind of stuff. And if you're the Colts, that might be good enough right now.
It might. And it's funny, you kind of mentioned this. I mean, more and more the quarterback positions go into freaky athletes. You know, Lamar, Allen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm all for that. And we did the mock draft segment, and if and when the Steelers
Cam Ward's another one of those guys.
I want to take someone that has crazy
Drake
abilities.
May's a pretty darn good athlete.
Great arm Daniels. And all these things, right.
Caleb Williams.
Exactly. Tons and tons of them. But this year also taught us, don't sleep on the old dudes. You know, that there's something to be said for Rodgers, Flacco, maybe Rivers. I mean, he's 2 years older than Rodgers. That just
I know that's the only
that just know every trick of the trade.
It's one thing for a 1-year absence away from the game, and he's 41 or 42. This is a 5-year absence, and he's 44.
I mean, even like Brissett. You know, the Cardinals were better with Brissett than they were with Kyler Murray. I mean, he's just been around a long time and doesn't get fooled, and maybe none of these guys can move that well anymore and all that stuff. But I do think that position, just the knowledge, the wisdom, I think is the word to use for those older guys, is really, really valuable in today's NFL. Because these defenses throw so much at you.
So much at you.
Yeah.
And as the game, you've heard this forever, football's a young man's game.
Sure.
But I think that continues to be more and more of a trend, more and more evident.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have guys like this at the quarterback position that have been in the league for so long, I think it really helps the high tide that raises the ships of all those young guys in your organization and on your offense.
Right, and the Steelers are a really good example of that, obviously. Right.
100%. It is, by the way, in Alabama where Philip Rivers currently resides and coaches his high school football team.
But they absolutely need to. I mean, back to the article, they need to win more than anybody. I just don't think they're going to get it.
100%. 100%.
I don't know if they'll get another one.
Philip Rivers, by the way, career record of 44-16 in his 5 years as the head coach there at St. Michael Catholic in Alabama. They have been to the semifinals of the state championships the last 2 years, but lost to Jackson High School both of those times. They went 13-1 and 12-2 last year. Did Philip Rivers' team. So that offense that he's installing from Shane Steichen is working there. I know it sounds crazy, but I think I would lean in that regard. There's also something to be said for...
I would play him right away if he can.
I'm with you, especially if the Colts were in a better situation where, okay, our quarterback has been a carousel and injuries and stuff like that, but we're still winning games.
Yeah.
Right now, I think there's always something to be said, too.
Like when Flacco got to Cincy. Something different.
The guy that walks into the huddle and you all look at him and you go, okay, we got a chance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. I played with him in Madden when I was 10. Yeah, but these guys are like that. I mean,
I've seen this guy win big games. I know he's got 420-something career touchdown passes and over 60,000 career passing yards, and he might reset his clock here for 5 years, but he's going to the Hall of Fame one day.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something to be said for that. Moats could vouch for this really well. Moats used to reference how many times they'd be this when the 4 years that he was with the Steelers, they'd be in a bad situation.
Yeah.
And Ben would just be like, "Hey guys, chill, we got this."
Yeah, Max has mentioned it. I mean,
and Max
in the huddle,
could better because he was in the huddle. You know, Moats was on the other side of the football, but just on the sideline in the locker room, we're fine. Everybody breathe. We got this.
Yeah.
Go make a play.
The famous Rodgers relax.
RELAX.
Right. Like, okay, if he's relaxed, I'm relaxed. Right.
100%. And I think for this kind of unraveling, the uncertain
might be what the Colts need. Right.
Might be what the Colts need right at this time.
I don't think that helps you block Leonard Williams and beat the Seahawks, but
cover
at least
JSN without sauce.
Right. I heard today, like, Bortolini, their second-year center, he's not even a rookie. Mm-hmm. He was like 9 months old when Rivers got drafted.
That's hilarious.
You know what I mean?
That's hilarious. When he got drafted.
When he got drafted.
Yeah,
Right.
That's crazy. Number 2 on the list is the Chiefs.
Agreed.
I mean,
they got to run the table. What's more than that?
Who's more desperate for a win? Because the Colts might have to run the table too. I guess the Colts.
I think the Chiefs.
I think the Chiefs. Because the Colts could probably afford to lose one more. If they go 3-1 and they beat the Jags and the Texans,
I would say at least they have some division stuff to fall back on.
At least they have some division stuff and some tiebreakers to fall back on. The Chiefs, though, pretty much have to win out. I mean, they have to finish 10-7.
I mean, we really laid this out yesterday, but the AFC 7 teams, I don't want to say they're chiseled in stone because Steelers could lose to Miami or whatever, but
pretty close.
It sure looks like 6 and the AFC North champ.
I think so.
Yeah.
And hey, maybe we come in here on Tuesday and we're singing a different tune.
That's how the league works.
Because that's how the league works.
I can't believe Houston lost by 40. It could happen.
The Chiefs and the Colts have felt further off the mark this week than they have any time here so far in the month of December. Chargers on deck for the Chiefs. It's a tough one. They got them at home.
That's a must win.
But that's a must win. Number 3 on the list, and this one is surprising, but I like it.
I would think there'd be more NFC, but okay. Those two need it, though. I mean, those guys are like in playoff teams or playoff games.
This team doesn't necessarily need it in the sense of securing or getting back into the playoff picture because they're going. But the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I can see where you go with that.
I totally see,
let's get this thing right. Let's right the ship. Let's put 30 up on offense.
Each of the last 2 seasons, the Eagles have had one of these crossroad moments where it felt like things are going south. Which way are you going to go? Last year, the arrow pointed straight up, and they won the Super Bowl. The year before that, they unraveled and were a disaster.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards the unraveled and they're a disaster, but I think they're still going to go to the playoffs. You got the Raiders coming to town. It's a good get-right opportunity. Let's go beat the Raiders by 14 or 20 and get some feel-good and get moving in the right direction.
Let's have everyone with baseball caps on the fourth quarter, and get back to letting the world know who we are, and we just crushed a bad team. I think that's a good one to put on there. So I did a podcast this morning where we did a really deep dive of, speaking of the Colts, who could be their quarterback on opening day next year?
Cool.
It's not going to be Daniel Jones. I mean, I can promise you right now.
Not with an Achilles injury like that.
And I just found this out today, too. Like, not only does he have an Achilles that happened in December, which never means good for week 1, but because he has broken bones in his leg, he can't even start rehabbing the Achilles until the bones heal. So he's going to have to wait 3, 4, 5 weeks, longer than that even to start the end of the surgery.
It's not good.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I pulled out names like Derek Carr. I mean, went deep. Who could they possibly get?
Phillip Rivers?
I mean, I even said, could it be Rivers or Leonard? But my co-host said, Jalen Hurts.
Ooh.
You mentioned the Eagles. Could the Eagles be because people love Tanner McKee. I mean, Tanner McKee's a real sleeper, like to be a starter somewhere.
They traded away Kenny Pickett because they were like, we got Tanner McKee as the backup. We're good.
They moved on from Wentz.
From Wentz to the Colts. Maybe the Colts will be a little gung-shy about trading for another Philadelphia quarterback.
But Steichen came from Philly.
But he did.
You know, and they're an aggressive organization.
I didn't even think about this, but as did Frank Reich before him.
The
Colts have just been trying to kind of cheat off the Eagles. They've been looking at the Eagles paper there, trying to cheat off their
organization
home.
No
doubt.
But that, they're aggressive. They have a new owner. They went all in on Sauce. We'll give you a bunch for her. I mean, I'm just throwing stuff out there. But, I mean, that's why when you said the Eagles, like if things start if they unravel the wrong way, Philly, they'll get rid of your butt,
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, you were the Super Bowl MVP 10 months ago. You think we give a rip?
Right.
And then Philadelphia, are you kidding me? They'll run you out of town faster than...
Right. I'll find somebody like you, right.
Which is very bizarre because the only people that they don't run out of Philadelphia are the people who don't win rings.
Flyer people.
Allen Iverson.
Okay.
Brian Dawkins, although I guess the organization ran him off to Denver, but the fans were apoplectic about it. It's crazy. But you're right. And Howie Roseman will push the button and make crazy moves like that.
Oh, yeah. There's aggressive organizations,
There might.
I mean, we came up with names like Mariota. I mean, like that's probably what it'll be, or Mac Jones, or something like that.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Remind me of this, and maybe TV can help too. But maybe when we're in the off season and we need some stuff to talk about, we could do the revisit the where's Jalen Hurts playing next year? Where's this guy playing next year?
Yeah.
Number 4 on their list, Matt, is the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, they got to stop the bleeding here soon, too.
Not in the sense of a win gets you back into the playoffs or anything like that, but if you lose to the Bengals, which would be the second time in 3 weeks.
Right.
Another AFC loss, another division loss that you would really kind of be at the beginning of the end if you're not able to take care of business.
3-game losing streak in December wouldn't settle well.
All 3 division games.
Right. And
that's tough to overcome.
Again, I'm not predicting this, and nor do I want it to happen, but they crumble down the stretch. Harbaugh's seat's going to get warm. I mean, there's already been some of that. He can only win like one playoff game, and you can't guess where we need to go, and he's been here too long, and things could go sideways with that organization too. You always think of him being super stable, but don't always. That's not how the league works.
That's an interesting one. You're right, because we haven't even. I don't think even the John Harbaugh, is he going to be there in 2026 conversation? We haven't had that.
I think he will, but
I think he will too. But
I'm not the only one that's thrown that out there. I mean, like I've gotten that from other people.
What if they go 1-3 in their last 4 games and finish 7-10?
Right, they were supposed to win the Super Bowl this year. The standards are higher,
much higher.
Yeah,
I told you this. There were not in droves, but like there were a lot of Ravens fans that were ready to leave that game.
Oh, yeah, right.
When that pass fell incomplete at the goal line, and there was still 3 minutes left, and a great chance the Ravens were going to get the ball back, it was like, see ya, we're out of here. I've seen this before. I'm done with this team.
Yeah.
And then number 5, number 5, bringing up the back of the list here, the Chicago Bears.
Ooh, I guess
they're at home against the Browns, but it's like, hey. It's like you can't spiral. You just lost to Green Bay. The Lions are hot on your trail. 65% chance for Chicago to make the playoffs currently, but if they lose, it falls to 47%. If they win, it goes up to 72%. And part of why this makes sense too, as I guess the wind and the weather is supposed to be nasty in Chicago on Sunday.
Okay.
So it's like, hey, you've got a Browns team that can play defense. You are going to have, have bad weather. Like, you better find a way.
Browns are loving the bad weather.
You better find a way to get it done in what could be a tricky spot at home.
Okay. I'm not giving the author a hard time. It's just if I would have written this article, often how I think, because I've written 1,000 articles for these kind of sites, I mean, I probably would have put Tampa or Detroit ahead of them. I mean, Tampa's going down a bad road right now. Detroit needs every win they can get, almost in a Kansas City Colts manner.
I might have had both of those ahead of the Eagles, and I understand the Eagles' perspective.
I do too. I like that view of it. I also look at the Bears, rightfully so or not, like they're already playing with house money. Like, even if they lose out, like, I'm happy with what the Bears did.
So let's go to if they lose out and they go 9-8 and they miss the playoffs, though.
I mean, that's miserable, but that's extreme. Like then you're starting to doubt things again.
I think if you're Chicago and you just find a way to claw, get it, because they're the Bears. You find a way to just claw into the postseason, even if you get your doors blown off,
that's a great year.
Even if week one you got to go to or week one, even if wild card weekend you got to go to Lambeau or you have to go to
Philly
Seattle or
Rams or whatever.
You got to go to L.A. or Seattle or Philly or Lambeau and you know
get handled.
Get handled. You get beat decisively. That is without a doubt a good season, house money ahead of schedule. But I think you got to find a way to scrape into the playoffs. To keep, I think, that optimistic outlook. So there's the 5. I'm with you. Some of those I might have changed. I think the Colts and the Chiefs definitely belong in there.
Yeah, they're really in the playoffs now.
I think there's some you could argue over the Ravens because a win still doesn't guarantee Baltimore anything.
And a loss doesn't destroy you.
Exactly right. But I like that conversation. I like that exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm looking at I just went back to the homepage here on NFL.com and Phillip Rivers showed up for his press conference looking like a dad who is just showing up to pick up his kids from practice. The picture they got here, he's just like wearing a button-up shirt that's half unbunbuttoned.
I think he's kind of got a dad bod now. And
yeah. I told you, one of my buddies was texting me and was like, Phillip Rivers does not look like he's in football shape. I was like, buddy, he hasn't played in 5 years. Like, what do you think?
He doesn't look like I saw him last, like near to you 5 years ago,
exactly
buddy.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't look like we did 5 years ago, let alone a former NFL athlete. And you and I were laughing about that. Like, it almost seems like to a man, these guys go one of opposite ways. Like, they either put on weight after their playing days because they're not working out and caring about it as much as they used to, or they go the Alan Faneca, Marquise Pouncey route and they drop like 200 pounds and you can barely recognize them.
I don't want to carry 310 anymore.
No chance.
Right. Yeah.
No chance. When we return on the other side, let's talk a little bit more about these Miami Dolphins with one of our favorite weekly exercises. I'll explain when we return. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson here on The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Back on The Drive here on a Wednesday as we are rolling along and heading towards the finish line. Kenny Pickett going to start. Speaking of
how about it?
The Eagles and the Raiders. Good luck, young man.
Oh, yeah, it's not going to go well. But
good luck, young man.
We're getting to that point of the season where...
Oh, it's time.
Where these weird guys are going to start.
I say this is like a guy who's carried water for Geno Smith for 10 years.
Yeah.
It's time.
Oh, sure.
But for all the Tom Opfermans and the Pitt people in my life that are trying to do the Nana Nana Boo Boo thing right now, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm doing the Nana Nana Boo Boo. Good luck, have fun. I mean...
Oh, it's not going to go well.
In Philadelphia, against that defense, I think you could put Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes on that Raiders offense, and they would struggle with how bad the offensive line is. Good luck to Kenny Two Gloves in that environment, against that defense, in that weather, with that Raiders offense.
The league's so cruel.
I hope it goes better for him, but I think you could put a future Hall of Famer in that position, and they would still struggle.
Along those lines, I mean, the league is so cruel because some of these teams, like Arizona is a perfect example. They're shutting everyone down. Oh, Trey Benson, we open his window. We're just going to close it. We're not even going to bring him back.
I know.
Like, is Marvin going to play again?
Thanks a lot for my fantasy team, guys.
Right. I've only held him for the last 10 weeks or whatever.
Yep.
Guys like that. But then the guy that they put in there has, like, no chance to succeed. It's like, okay, we're going to put Pickett in there, but we're not going to bring back Powers Johnson or any of these guys that could actually block for him or help him or, it's brutal.
I just want Tom and all my Pitt people to keep that same energy on Monday. But now watch, he'll go out there and throw for 4 touchdowns and have his performance of the lifetime against his old team, the Philadelphia Eagles.
But then like, it's got this on my phone. Like, it sounds like Mike Evans is going to play tomorrow night. So sometimes you get a good thing, like that's pretty. They just activated him off IR,
I did not think he'd be back in the regular season, but that's awesome.
Right.
I love that guy. I really do. I think he's perhaps the most underrated football player of the past decade.
I know. Like in the receiver of all time pecking order, he's higher than you think.
He is higher than anybody thinks.
Yeah.
And in that whole best receiver of this generation, if you want to start with AB and Julio, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
But he better be the third one you mention.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's like in Larry land.
Yes.
Not like
he tied Jerry Rice. He tied a Jerry Rice record.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're tying a record that Jerry Rice is doing, that's pretty stinking good. And until Tom Brady and Baker Mayfield never had the best quarterback situation that he was doing it. He's not Marvin or Reggie playing with Peyton all that time. Matt, simple thing here for you. As we start to talk about the Dolphins a little bit more. Our favorite, let's steal somebody from the
I
Steelers'
haven't given this one
upcoming
a thought
opponent.
yet. Okay.
Yes, and reminder to everybody, contract money plays into this.
All this matters.
This is like you're building a roster, you're Omar Khan, you're not just borrowing this guy for the next month of the season, like you're on the books for him, his contract, his age, all those things going forward. There's two names that really stand out to me, Matt.
Okay, I have not thought this one through, but I like thinking through them on the air too.
Yes. So, I'd be very tempted to take Devon A-Chain in a way, honestly.
He's really dynamic and really hard to play.
He's so good. I think he might be the most underrated running back in the NFL right now.
He's having a monster season.
Jalen Waddle is certainly one of the people that I would consider.
Yeah.
I know he's got a big contract and he's not a spring chicken anymore, but
he's been really good lately.
He's been very good lately, and if you plugged him in that offense across the field from DK Metcalf, that would be a problem. The two that I'm really considering, though, I guess the three, because I would really consider Jalen Waddle. Minka Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
I mean, the contract is big, but it's not
TV and I were joking before we hit
insane.
record. Not even joking. Been nice to have him and Ramsey.
It'd be very nice to have him and Ramsey and Deshaun Elliott and Joey Porter Jr.
Yeah.
I know you'd be
he's
adding,
missed. He's a really good player.
I know you'd be adding another sizable contract to that defense, but he is a really good player. I think there is such a high level of knowing what you're getting with Minka Fitzpatrick. There's very little opportunity. You bring in a Jalen Waddle and it doesn't work out. He doesn't mesh with the team, with the coordinator, with the quarterback, and it ends up going south. You don't see that happening with Minka Fitzpatrick. He's going to play at a high level.
Oh, yeah. Anywhere he
all
goes.
32 organizations in the National Football League. Another one that I would consider, though, is Zach Seiler on the defensive line.
He's a really good player, too, that people don't know about.
Because I think he's
if he has a sack or a couple plays on Monday night, who's a Zach Seiler guy?
I think he's ascending. He doesn't have a crippling contract. And, you plug him in next to the Derek Harmons and the Keanu Bentons and the Y.A. Blacks for the next handful of years. I think you'd be in really good shape on that defensive front.
It's not a bad one. I can't go Chan just because he's also small and he's a running back, but I have great respect for his game.
I guess Seiler did just turn 30. I thought he was younger than
he's been around a little while.
Yeah, I thought he was 27.
You'd love him on this team right now.
Right now, it'd be great.
It'd be super useful, especially with Harmon out. Now, their O-line, there's nobody I would pluck, but their O-line isn't that bad. And Paul, the second-year left tackle, looks like he was a total project. He's turned into a decent player. They're the quickest off-the-ball O-line I've ever seen, by the way. I mean, they move well. Waddle was very, very much in this conversation because I think
he might be my answer. The
I
more
think
that,
he is
that we
the
kind of
answer.
talk and think this out.
So a note on Waddle, when Tyreek has been healthy over the last 2 years or so, Waddle kind of gets screwed. He's asked to do a lot of the really tough work, clear out routes for Tyreek and stuff that, beat this man coverage. And while there's, Tyreek's in jet motion and things like that. So he's kind of had to have been an uphill climb. But when Tyreek went out, he's still doing those things, but his production has spiked like crazy. Yeah, I mean, he's a really, really good player, and they don't throw the ball very much. He is my answer, and he's different than Metcalf, but he's also super dynamic, and I think he can be a pseudo one. I would throw another name out there.
Chop Robinson?
Kenneth Grant.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, I always look at who was the first-round pick this year?
Young defensive tackle. I mean,
massive, 340 pounds. He hasn't been great this year.
He has not.
He started poorly, but he's gotten better, as have the Dolphins, but I liked him a lot coming out of Michigan. He was right there with Harmon for me. Who would you take between the two of them? Those two and Nolan. As first-round defensive tackles, I thought for sure the Steelers were going to take one of those three, and we were right. So I'd still consider him, but I wish he was having a better rookie year, burst on the scene more.
Because if he did, I think he'd be the
I think he'd be
pick.
the pick.
You have him on his rookie contract for the next 3 years.
Super
He's only
young,
22, 23.
330 pounds.
But Jalen Waddle's only 27. I don't know.
say Waddle's still got a lot of
he
football
just
left.
turned 27 over Thanksgiving.
Really? Okay.
Thanksgiving week. His birthday is November 25th, so he just turned 27.
That's the pick.
That's the pick.
That's the pick, yeah.
I don't know why I thought he was 29, closer to Minka's age.
I mean, he makes money, but that's the only downside
Who
to
cares?
it. Yeah. Who cares?
27. Pay him his money for the next 3 years, and he'd be great next to DK Metcalf. And,
problem solved, yeah.
And in that offense. I think that's the answer.
It is.
I think we're going to agree on that one. Minka, though, definitely deserves a shout.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great call by you, bringing Kenneth Grant into the conversation. I think that's about it in terms of guys who
It's not the best team to pick from.
No, and again, like there's some guys that could like Devon Achane right now to help you would be great for the rest of the year.
Yeah, or Seiler.
Seiler for the rest of the year would be awesome. Even someone like Jordan Brooks.
I'd say Brooks is a really good player that I figured we'd talk about more Thursday, Friday, some of these guys. But he's been super productive. I just don't know that he's a massive upgrade over Queen and Wilson. You know, like
he'd probably be your number 2 linebacker.
I think he's probably better than both those guys. I'm a Brooks fan, but I don't know that he's like
by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, like
it's not
Warner.
Fred Warner.
right. Like okay, massively changes the outlook of the team because one of those guys has to go to the bench. Then you know,
exactly right. So there's our kind of weekly exercise of perusing the other teams' roster and deciding who we would like to poach. We are both going to agree this week, and we're going to land on Jalen Waddle, and we're going to have another explosive piece for that.
Even if we changed
Steelers
the rules
offense.
and allowed a quarterback,
I wouldn't take Tua.
I wouldn't take Tua, right?
No, I don't think so.
No, I would definitely take Waddle ahead of Tua.
There's a couple clear-cut, yes, I would take that quarter. Most of the quarterbacks that we would take would either be the Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, established future Hall of Famers, or the Cam Ward, Caleb Williams, Drake May, next wave of young guys that you're going to have on their rookie contract for the next few years.
None of which is a slight on Rodgers. It's just like if I could pluck May from the Patriots, you'd do it a million out of a million. I'd throw in 2 first-round picks. I'll give you anything you want.
I would give you whatever you want for Drake May right now. 2 first round. How about 3? You want 3?
Yeah,
take a third. You're not driving. Have 3. Let's get to our final segment of the day on the other side. Another news or notable around the NFL. And let's get to some of your tweets. It's been a few days since we've checked the mentions and pulled some tweets. We'll do all that and more as we get up out of here on the other side. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Final segment here of The Drive on a Wednesday, and I want to get to some tweets. But before that, Matt, I don't know, maybe I guess you could call it a bigger picture NFL topic that I just wanted to pick your brain on for a second.
All right.
Do you know who Marcus Freeman is?
Sort of.
He's the head coach of
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Well regarded.
Yeah. They lost Brian Kelly. I almost said Chip Kelly. Different college coach.
Yep.
They lost Brian Kelly to LSU a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone thought that's a massive loss for Notre Dame. They promote this Marcus Freeman guy who was on staff, young and up-and-comer, but like, come on, we're Notre Dame. Shouldn't we go get a big fish?
Okay.
And all he does is in year 2, he's got him in the national championship game last year in college football.
Like they were the last cut for the playoffs this year,
and
right?
the last cut for the playoffs this year. And
like you said, they played the national title game last year.
They played the national title game last year. They've had a lot of NFL draft pick success. Jeremiah Love, I don't think he's going to win the Heisman. I think it's going to be Mendoza, but he certainly is a finalist and has a strong case. Kelly left, and I think a lot of people thought the program was going to take a step back. Instead, it's taken a step forward under Marcus Freeman.
They're back to being Notre Dame.
They are back to being a relevant contender in the conversation year in and year out, whereas it went the opposite way for Kelly at LSU. And
it's not Paul Horning days, you know.
Exactly right.
Like when my dad was a kid, but
It's not the Lou Holtz era there, you know, where they're beating my Mountaineers and Major Harris for a national championship.
Jerome and Tim Brown. And
He's
those guys.
43-12 as Notre Dame's head coach.
Okay,
that's pretty good. And again, was in the college football national championship last year. Is still only 39 years old, not even 40 yet.
Do you think most of his losses, or a pretty decent percentage, were in his first year?
So they lost 2 games this year, and I think they lost 1 last year.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'd say if you take over a bad program, I expect you to be 11-1.
Even if you take over a good program, it's still that first year is always
going to be rocky, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a reason somebody else got fired.
Exactly right.
Maybe on a quarterback or, you know.
With the success that he's had, with the style of program that he's run there now, he's getting some NFL interest.
I've heard, yeah.
A couple potential. I think he's been mentioned in a couple areas, but the Giants being the one that keeps popping up. So what I wanted to ask you with this is, again, this is a bigger picture, kind of wider range conversation, but just how you feel about plucking coaches from college football to the National Football League, because I think there's good faith arguments you can make on both sides.
Yeah.
I think more often than not, it doesn't work.
I'd say there are examples of it does. Jimmy Johnson.
Pete Carroll,
Right.
Jimmy Johnson. I
Right.
mean, even someone like, and this is, I'm aging myself here a little bit, but even, someone like Bill Walsh and Paul Brown and those guys started in the collegiate ranks. Tom Coughlin started in collegiate ranks before going on to win 2 Super Bowls with the Giants. Pete Carroll's probably the best example.
The world was much smaller for all those examples, too. I'm talking about
like Jim Harbaugh's been a good example. A lot of success at Stanford, a lot of success with the Niners, a lot of success with Michigan. But for the most part,
he's gone back and forth.
It's just a little different.
Which is a little different.
For the most part, it's more Nick Sabans who win a national championship at LSU, bomb out at Miami, and they're back in college. Matt Rule, who did unbelievable, took Temple and Baylor to like top 20 seasons, 10 wins, places those programs hadn't been, and then bombs out with Carolina.
Urban Meyer might be the best example.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I talk about from the best to the worst.
Disaster.
Right,
I mean, that's kind of was Nick Saban type stuff too when he was with the Dolphins.
Dolphins were better than the Urban Meyer teams, though.
But they were.
Yeah.
They were. So I just wanted to pick your brain on that and what you kind of think.
I don't love it.
Yeah, I don't love it either. I'm willing to give him benefit of the doubt. Bill O'Brien's another example.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to single out Freeman because I don't know enough about him and I don't know his personality. It all sounds good. I mean, so I give him the benefit of the doubts. But, man, South Bend, Indiana compared to the Big Apple, just in terms of city, environment, media, et cetera, et cetera. And I know there's a lot of pressure at Notre Dame. Don't get me wrong. It's Notre Dame. But, man, I'm just thinking about all the stuff you have to do that's not football related. That's a tough job,
and you take a lot off your plate in terms of, like, the babysitting element.
Yeah.
Of 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds who suddenly leave their hometown and are making a ton of money. But they have people that do that for them.
Right. The GAs are doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, I lean towards you'd have to really convince me. You know what I mean? Like, I would break all ties against it.
I would love it, and this would never happen because he's the head coach of the premier program, but I would love it if he was like a defensive coordinator in the NFL first.
Yes. If he had like ties where...
Or if he had been in the NFL in the past and then got the Notre Dame job.
Yeah, like he's never even been...
Like
I don't know this.
Pete Carroll, you know what I mean? When he left the Patriots and got the USC job.
Like, has this guy ever had an NFL job?
I don't think so.
I mean, that's hard for me, man.
Again,
I mean, was he linebackers coach 5 years ago somewhere or something like that? I bet not.
He was not. No, Ohio State, then Kent State, then Purdue, then Cincinnati, then Notre Dame.
Yeah, I don't love it. It's a different world, man.
It is a completely different world. And as you mentioned too, I think it would be one thing if he was going to take over for the Indianapolis Colts or the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah. Or I
mean, these programs haven't won forever.
Friendlier, more patient Midwest fan base.
I mean, if it was coming here, I'd understand it more.
And I even think sometimes, Matt, I laugh. The whole that New York media thing is so rough. We were just kind of talking about the Philadelphia media is so rough.
Right.
Yes and no. Those guys they're not showing up to Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts' press conferences with torches and pitchforks. Okay?
No, right. There's just a lot more people in the room.
The New York media would chew you up and spit you out. I think some of that is antiquated.
I do too.
Like, it's the social media era now. These guys have someone telling them they suck in their comments every 3 seconds. These guys deal with heat and pressure and attention and a magnifying glass like none other before.
Right.
And I also think our brother Dale and I used to get honked off when I would say things like this. So does our good friend Mike Pursuta. Don't tell any of the reporters or journalists I said this, okay?
Yeah, we'll keep it quiet.
But I think those guys' role is more diminished now than it has ever been before.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
in terms of locker room access and talking to the players and getting the story and talking to the coaches, there's 700,000 outlets. Like, the media guys don't hold
they're not on the train with Babe Ruth.
Yes, and we have so many friends in that realm, and I think it's still an important. I still think it's an important job. That's not what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, right. But it's changed quickly.
There's not this massive connection between the media narrative and the fan base anymore. Mm-hmm. In fact, a lot of times I think it's the opposite. The media will be telling you, hey, calm down. Don't push the panic button. Where the fan base is like, fire everybody, get them at it. You know, like
burn
I think
the place to the ground. Right.
I think there's more disconnect now between the fans and the reporter, journalist, media than there has been in the past too. So yes, there's more pressure there. There's more attention. There's more eyeballs. All that stuff. But I do always laugh when people kind of act like, oh, the media there's so tough, like they're bringing shotguns to the press conferences and putting bullet holes in you. But I bet those press conferences still have triple the amount of people of a Packers press conference.
Sure. You know.
But they also still have half a dozen PR people who will shut that thing down in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
If you start getting too personal and you get over the line.
Not to mention, but even from like a football perspective, the Jets and Giants just haven't won forever. It's not been a conducive area for winning. That's why I threw the Steelers out. Like,
yeah,
they're used to winning. It's you go to a good environment, it's a great job, they're patient, blah blah blah. But back to your original question, 0 NFL experience, that worries me. So here's a small example that we just saw is McDonald goes from defense coordinator in Baltimore to head coach in Seattle.
And he was at Georgia right before that, right? Before he was at Baltimore?
No, he was with Michigan with the Harbaugh. He did the Harbaugh learning program.
That's right.
So he becomes the head coach in Seattle and signs Washington, where Fautanu and Penix and Odunze and Rosengarten was their offensive coordinator. We're going to keep him in the Midwest, make him the Seahawks offensive coordinator. His first year as head coach. Total disaster. And a lot of it was because he built plays for the college geometry of the field. Didn't understand the hash mark differences and the picking up pressure.
That's when I've told you before.
Yeah.
I typically hate it when people use this phrase, but you don't know ball. You know how people like to say that?
Sure.
He knows ball. He doesn't know ball. When I hear people say, hire Lane Kiffin for insert NFL team here, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm like, Lane Kiffin's offense would not, it's made to manipulate the hash marks, which are completely different in the college football. It's completely different.
And it's like, we'll just get these.
Lane Kiffin, by the way, one of those guys who left college and went to the NFL and flamed out.
Yeah. I mean, like the Dree Archers. We'll just get him in space. You can't get him in space up here. You can get him in space in the Big 12 or even the SEC, because you're faster than the dudes chasing you.
Exactly right.
There's this wide side of the field. So Ross Tucker's a friend of mine, and we used to host podcasts at ESPN together. And he will flat out tell you, he said it on the air a million times, so with me, so I've heard him since. He was an offensive lineman for the Washington team at the time when Spurrier became the head coach. Legend from the swamp. Ross is a very smart Princeton offensive lineman who now has gone on to do great things in business. He's like, we had like 3 protections. That's what they had at Florida.
That's it.
We had 3. You need 15.
You need 13 in the NFL.
He's like, we're either going to do this, or this. And every defense coordinator knew it, and they'd overload my left tackle, and we didn't have an answer for it. Like, it's a different world.
It's a completely different world. Everything's a different world now. But I'm with you. I think, and even someone like Mike McDonald, right, who went from Michigan defensive coordinator to the Ravens defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
He was in the NFL for 7 years before that.
And it was with the other Harbaugh brother doing NFL stuff at the college level.
Correct.
Right.
He was coaching defensive backs and then linebackers with the Ravens before he went to the college level, before coming back to Baltimore, before getting that head coaching
opportunity. They wanted him to call plays. So
he's only 38 years old. That's nuts.
It's kind of like Tomlin at that age.
That's not. That's like Tomlin stuff. That's like McVay stuff.
Yep.
My goodness, that's
and he was
impressive.
groomed perfectly by the Harbaugh brothers. Like, go to Michigan, call plays, because we can't do it here with Baltimore, and then you'll be our coordinator as Michigan takes some Ravens people. There's some benefits to being the Harbaugh brothers.
No doubt. One of those football last names, right? Like being a Harbaugh, being a Manning.
Yeah. Take my guy for a year and then bring him back, train him to be.
That is funny, actually. Like, here, take this guy for a year.
Yeah, you'll love him. He's awesome.
He
should be a head coach someday.
Get him ready for me.
Right.
Give him a little bit more on his plate.
Then I'll make him defense coordinator for the Ravens. You have him as defense coordinator for the Wolverines for a year, and then we'll lose him, and he'll be a head coach, and now he's the coach of the second best team in the league.
That is funny.
Right.
It's worked out very well for him and for them and for all the parties involved. But, yeah, I'm with you. Marcus Freeman's a guy that I'm willing to give a lot of benefit of the doubt to, because I do think he's a rising coaching star. But that is, from South Bend to the Big Apple is a heck of a leap. Certainly.
It is. Just schematically, and the job description is so much different.
Matt, this works out well because we only have a couple minutes left here till we got to go to break. Andrew tweets us. It's funny. Andrew does this every week, and sometimes I go to it more so during the offseason. He used to do this with Moats and I, but he would tweet us 3 random questions every week. I think I remember.
We have done it
I think
before,
we've done this once or twice throughout the few months of the season now. It's a good, quick way to, you got 90 seconds to kill before you get out of here. So, number 1, name something you spend too much time doing. Social media. I'm on my phone too much.
I'm on my phone too much, but it's not all social media. But it's always attached to my body, which I look at like
on my phone too much.
Yeah, like if I go to the bathroom, I bring it with me. Like what? Well, I don't need it.
One thing,
like if I just go take a leak. Right?
One thing I've been trying to do, and I think you'll be proud of me, and my wife has really noticed, and she likes it, is like typically on Saturdays I'm getting on a plane and I'm gone for the weekend, or I'm going to Morgantown to watch college football or something like that, and then working a Steelers home game Sunday. So like Friday nights, I've tried to, like when you and I get home from the show Friday night, I'll like pull in the garage. I'll check my phone one last time to make sure there's nothing I need to respond to.
Yeah.
And then like when I get home, I'll like throw it on the kitchen counter or something
just walk away from
for 2 hours and go be with my girls and be with my wife. And I think we all, even if you're good about being on your phone, I think we probably spend too much time on it. Let's see here. Number 2, do you have a good famous person story?
I told the John Stallworth story. That was pretty cool coming back from Dublin, right?
Yeah, I told you my Arnold Schwarzenegger in the bike shop in Aspen, Colorado
that's
story.
A good one. Right.
I think, where I saw Arnold and I wanted to go bug him in a bike shop in Aspen, Colorado. I was like 9, and my dad was like, no, leave him alone. He's just a regular guy. He's getting his bike fixed. Like, don't go bug him. And then he goes to leave like 2 minutes later, and he goes, hey, buddy, high five.
Did I ever tell the John Gruden story?
I don't know if you ever told the John Gruden story.
I was
from your time at Pitt?
No, I was at the Senior Bowl, and we were at a really, really nice steakhouse.
Okay.
ESPN sent me there. This is before I was with, way back when. And Gruden signed a new contract that day, and I'm at a urinal, and he comes into the urinal next to me. He had been having a really good time. He had signed a huge monster deal. He's one of the top coaches in the league.
Sure.
And I just gave him a congratulations, coach. And I mentioned to him while we're taking leaks next to each other, basically, I'm like, Walt Harris also gave me my first job.
That's pretty cool. That's a cool, like, hey, we have this in common.
He GA'd for Walt at Tennessee, I think it was, a million years ago. And he's like, awesome, dude. Walt got me, like, we end up talking. I was just going to say that and walk out. But we're, like, washing our hands together, and we both had a few. And he was like, yeah, that's awesome. I had to pick up his son. I'm like, I had to pick up his younger son. That kind of thing.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good. And I can see him.
And I'm just like, congratulations on the contract. Was all it was.
Yes. I could see him being good in that type of moment too. Like,
he was all wound up. Yeah, right. I mean, how would you not be? He signed a multi-million-dollar contract a couple hours before that. And it was Senior Bowl City. It wasn't like I was bugging him rando. Like, he knew I was somewhat affiliated. You know, right?
He's not just like in the grocery store trying to get a couple things and get out of there.
Right.
Yeah. Last one here. This is a good one. What is the last thing you found yourself going down a rabbit hole researching? I know mine.
Bring it on.
It's a recent serial killer show on Netflix. The Ed Gainey story.
Oh, yeah.
That
Ed Gein.
Sorry. And anytime I watch one of those, whether it's the Dahmer story, anytime I watch one of those serial killer murder things on Netflix or HBO or wherever it is, I always find myself like, okay, let's go find out the real story. Compare the TV show to and how twisted was this guy really, and what did he end up in jail for, and how long, and all that stuff.
I mean, along those lines, I knew a lot about those things before they came out. Like, it's kind of not a hobby of mine, but
sure.
Like the profiling shows, and my wife and I are both into, and she's even said things like, if she could have my life and pick the perfect job, then maybe it would have been a profiler or like a forensics person and figure things out. And she'd have been great at it. But so we've done a lot of serial killer stuff over the years and learned. Like, I knew a ton about Ed Gein before I watched that.
So that's typically, and then a lot of times on like bands and musicians, I'll find myself in
I could see
like a couple months ago, the Billy Joel documentary came out on HBO, and like in the first hour of it, they talk about how he wanted to be in a metal band when he was younger. Like Ozzy Osbourne was his hero, and he was in like a metal band and had like black hair and the leather jacket. Okay. And so I'm like going down a wormhole, like, can I find any of this Billy Joel music of him in his metal band in his heavy metal era? So yeah, serial killer stuff and like bands and artists before my time.
I mean, they're crazy out there stuff, right?
Oh, buddy, is there ever.
Yeah.
But that was good stuff there from Andrew to get us up out of here today. Tomorrow on the show, on Thursday, we will fully kind of begin turning the page to the Dolphins. We'll talk to Bob Labriola. We'll start to get into some of Matt's stats and some early scouting of Miami. All of that and more on the program tomorrow. Big thanks to Chris Halicke for joining us, Nathan for producing, TV for being our video producer / resident statistician. For Matt Williamson, I'm Wes Uhler. Take care, everybody, and we will talk to you tomorrow. As always, you know where to find us. It's on your 24/7 home of the Black and Gold. It's Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.